Hello everyone and welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and today we're going to do a playthrough of Victoriana. This is a game that I kickstarted almost 3 years ago. I think it was my second Kickstarter game. It just delivered, I think it was last Friday. I checked on their website. They do say they have copies available that you can purchase. So I decided because of that, I'll do a playthrough then. And you guys can see if you'd like to pick it up. It's a nice alternative to games such as Eldritch Horror, where you are going across the map. This is London, so it's set in London, and you have a certain amount of time to try and solve 3 parts of a mystery. But instead of rolling dice, what you're going to be doing is doing a little more resource management. You're going to be using resources to try and complete specific leads, and then defeat agents, and then ultimately defeat the henchmen and the mastermind. Now this game is quite involved for how you set it up, so I am going to do its own setup video, and please let me know if I do anything wrong because I am just taking it based on these rules and I could have stuff wrong. I'll make sure to make notes as well as put things in the description of this. I'll notate anything that's incorrect, so make sure to check there as well as check the comments because sometimes people make comments about updates to rules and whatnot. But with that, let's jump into setup. If you don't care about how it sets up and you just prefer to jump into the playthrough, just check the next video. That will be the playthrough. After setting the board up on the table, you want to grab the 4 plot tracks. There's one of each color. This is for occults, this is for politics, this is for underworld, and this is for science. Those are the types of leads that you are completing. If after you complete a lead, you get 2 options, you can either deduce or accumulate evidence. If you deduce, there's going to be a chance you're going to get to push up one of these tracks. As you move them along, certain benefits will happen. So everyone will gain a green resource or a politics resource, and they're all the same. You can see this. So they are helpful, but that's not something that you need to do for the game to win. This just helps all of the investigators. So a lot of times you'll want to push these tracks up, and you'll see how that works in the playthrough. But make sure to just set them out, and you're going to grab these little small circular cardboard tokens and set them on the board like so. Next, you want to go ahead and set up your plot deck. In the base game, there are 5 of each colored type of plot. What you want to do is grab those 5. If you have the expansion, there's one additional one for each of these, and it actually has a benefit, or I should say a detriment, when you discard that card, and you'll see how that works in the playthrough. I am not playing with that. I just want it as basic as possible here. There's a lot going on in this game. Let's keep it basic. So I'm going to take these. You'll want to shuffle these up. And then what you have are these Agents of Evil cards, because the Mastermind will have Agents of Evil working with them and Henchmen. So I'm going to grab a random 3 of these Agents of Evil. One will be shuffled into the plot deck. So as we're pushing through the plot deck, we will actually find one of the agents. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll just shuffle this up right now. I'm going to put this agent into the plot deck, and I'm going to take this agent and let's say this one, and they're going to be placed off at the side of the board. Now, before shuffling this agent in, what I want to do is take all of these, and then I'm going to shuffle them up quick. After fully shuffling the plot deck, and this is still that agent card, I'm going to take one plot card because we need to have a plot card on the bottom of the deck. We can't have an agent because this is the plot that the mastermind is trying to accomplish, and we need to discover what that is as one of the 3 parts of winning this game. So now what I'll do is I'll shuffle this single agent into this deck. After doing that, I'll simply place this entire deck onto that single plot card. Now that plot card, what we are going to do during the game is we're going to be digging through this deck to get to that bottom card. Once we get to that bottom card, we have discovered what the mastermind's plot is. I chose 2 other agent cards because I'm going to play a 4-player game here. I feel like the game has the best balance at 4. I could be wrong, but we'll see. It's kind of like Eldritch Horror, where it's nice to have as many people as you can on the map. So I'm going to play with 4 players, so then you use 3 agents. If you're playing with only 2 players, then you're going to play with only 2 agents. But if you're playing with 3 or 4 people, it is 3 agents. Next, we'll have to pick our masterminds and henchmen. So what you do is I've got this huge deck of masterminds. So I'm going to randomly choose one. So I'm going to pick this one. And then I'm going to pick 3, and you always pick 3 regardless of the amount of players. 3 random henchmen, like so. And then that is the second goal of the game, is we have to defeat each henchman. And then when the mastermind's revealed, we also need to defeat the mastermind. But we don't get to see any of them. Right before the game, we'll flip up this henchman. But for now, I'll leave it face down. Next, we're going to set up our lead decks, but before we do that, we get to place 8 advantages and 8 setbacks into those decks, 2 into each different type. Remember the types of that purple, green, blue, and red. So what I'm going to do is randomly select 2 of each of these types. So the red ones are setbacks, the blue ones are advantages, and shuffle them into those lead decks. Here are the 4 lead decks, 1 for each color, so I will put 2 of each type of advantage and setback into each of these decks, and then flip them face down. After putting the advantages and setbacks into the lead decks, you'll set the lead decks up underneath the board that where it matches the symbol here, so you know which type of leads these are. Because you're going to need to grab maybe an occult lead, so you know it's from in here, but you might get a setback or an advantage. So the third piece that we need to find about this mastermind to win the game is what location he's trying to do or complete his plot. So in all locations that are colored, not colorless locations, and you'll see that on the board shortly, we are going to place one of these location tokens. They all have a question mark on one side, and all but one of them are going to be blank. Now they gave us some numbered tokens, and I'm assuming that maybe for an expansion you might need those, but for now just any of the numbered tokens, take them out. Don't include them. You'll only have the blank or the X. And what we're trying to find is that X. Then we know that's the location where the mastermind is going to do his plot. So I'll put that out on the board. Here we can see I've placed all the tokens onto the board. You can see question marks are on all locations that have numbers and a color, because that's where leads can spawn, and then also tells us what types of leads could potentially be spawned after we complete a lead in that location. So yeah, we can only be in locations with those numbers and colors. It will not be in locations that don't have these. So you can see this spot, the speaker's corner, there's no number or color. Same thing with Crowleys Circus. And I thought I'd zoom up for you just so you can see this. So you can see this is colorless. I did not put a location token there. This one and this one have colors, and so I have placed location tokens there. You'll also want to set up the cold track board, which just means grabbing this time token. Every time we either cannot complete a lead or a lead goes cold, we'll push this up. When this gets all the way to the 8, we lose the game. Also, we have our time tracker. We have a total of 21 rounds before the game is done. Now, unlike most games, you would think 21 rounds, all 4 characters would get to go. It's no matter how many players, and a round ends after 2 players have gone. So it's kind of cool. I like how they did that. They made sure that it'll always be 21 rounds. If I'm playing with 2 players, that means each of us gets a turn in a round. Otherwise, when you're playing with 4, you only get a turn every other round. Okay, you'll want to set all 6 of the time tokens here, and this kind of helps you keep track of time as you're going. So we're gonna go around this clock, and it's gonna go all the way to 12, and then you'll get one more turn at 12:15. After that, if we have not found the 3 aspects and defeated them all or completed them all, we lose the game. The other way we can lose is if all of the investigators have died. Here we have the different resources in the game, just like the different types of leads. And what we do is we grab 3 of each type and we put it in what's called a grab bag. So I'm going to put those into this grab bag. There's certain times we can pull resources out of there. And so we know that when we start, there's 3 of each type in there, excluding the wilds. So I'm going to take these and throw them in the bag. If we were playing with less than 4 players, we'd also get some Scotland Yard tokens, but since I'm playing with 4 players, we don't place any of these on the board. Depending upon the player count, you will have a certain amount of those available to you. Now the fun part of the game. We have picking our investigators, and these investigators are all very unique, have tons of cool abilities, and I really think make this game as fun as it is. Our first investigator is going to be Emma Blakeney. She gets at the beginning of the game 5 politics resources, 5 underworld resources, and 2 wild. So I'll collect those and we'll have those available to us. Each investigator has a speciality. Having a special type of lead means you are, kind of think of it like you're good at those ones. The thing is, it doesn't help you when you complete them, but when you have them as evidence, they can be considered of any color, because a lot of times we're going to have to use our evidence to be able to defeat a henchman or the mastermind, and we need specific types of leads. But if it's one of your specialities, then it's considered wild, which is cool. You also, when you complete a lead, and when you complete a lead that's one of your specialities, you then get to put out 2 new leads instead of just 1 new lead. For Emma, though, her speciality is either politics or underworld, whichever one she has more of. So right now, she actually has no specialty. But as she gains evidence, that will change throughout the game. She has an ability that is always active, and it says you are immune to effects of agents and henchmen. You'll understand that as we're playing. And then each character, and I don't have the tokens right here with me. Here they are. We will be placing 3 ability tokens under here for each character. And so 3 times per game, she can use this token ability, and that one's called Friends in High and Low Places. You may rewind a lead 1/2 a turn, or make another investigator immune to the effects of agents and henchmen for 1 turn. Once again, I'll explain all of that as we play, but that is her ability. Also, up here, this is where we'll track our wounds. We'll place a token here. If ever you move off of this space to take the 6th wound, you're eliminated from the game. But in this game, you still have a turn. It's just your turn is time passes, so it kind of stinks. So don't die. Next, we have Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage. So we'll start with 5 occult resources, 5 science, and 2 politics. Our speciality is science. We have always available ability. It says if you end your turn on an occult locale, you may place a wild token on a random locale. Any investigator moving through that locale may pick it up. I really like that because resources are tight in this game. Then we can use one of our token abilities. We can use this 3 times. If you end your turn on a science locale, you may place Babbage's brain on a lead. Each time the lead advances, draw a resource from the bag and place it on the card. Any investigator who successfully investigates the lead may collect the resource. Cool. So just another way to gain some resources. That's why I like this one. I've never played with this one, so we'll see how it goes. Next, we have Dionne Fortune. So she'll start with 5 occult, 3 underworld, 3 politics, and 1 science. Her speciality is occult. Dionne has the abilities Pupil of the Ascending Masters. This one is always active, and it states, when ending your turn on an occult locale, you may roll the locale die. On an odd result, any investigator may regain an ability token. Lets people use their abilities more. I thought that was awesome. Her token ability, so when she uses one of her 3 tokens, when you generate a new lead, examine the cards you choose and put one into play face up. So normally leads come in face down. You don't have any idea what you need to complete them. She's going to allow us to be able to see them when she does a lead and uses her ability. Finally, we have William Steed and Miss X. Now, I picked this character because there's actually going to be 2 standees on the board. And why that's important is this map is big. You only get 3 movement. And so it'd be really nice to be able to get around or be able to cover the map better. And so that's why I decided to give them a try. So they'll start with resources of 4 politics, 4 occult, 3 underworld, and 1 science. And each one has their own speciality. So William is specializes in politics, and Miss X specializes in occult. They always have the ability that you control 2 investigators. You may split movement between them. Only one may take an action and reveal locale tokens each turn. So yeah, we can't reveal locale tokens on both of theirs. We have to pick which one, but we get to pick. But 3 times per game, or maybe more, because we have Dionne here, we can have both investigators may take actions and reveal locale tokens this turn. Or we can generate a lead of any type, and it enters play at midnight. And that will make sense as we generate leads. We all start in play at Buckingham's Palace. After setting up our investigators, our next step is setting up opening leads. So what I've done is I've taken one of each type of lead, the occult, politics, science, and underworld. I've shuffled them up. I'm going to roll these 2 dice. This is going to tell us which locale, and this is going to tell us which colored locale we will need to place each of these leads. Now, normally you'll know a little bit more about the leads when you place them going forward, but these first ones, we have no idea because these are random and it's all determined by random dice, so I have no idea what type of lead is going to be in what place. I'll do that off camera, set them up on the board, and show you where they are. We've placed our 4 leads, one over here for Freemasons Hall, one over here in the Underground Fighting Pit, one over here in the Isambard Bernal's Workshop, and then one here in the Bank of England, way over there. And I know it might be a little hard to see, so let me zoom up. What we do is we use these tracking tokens to track which lead goes to which space. So you can see this tells us there's a lead in this location. So I have this here, and then on the location or the lead card itself, I also have another token with the number 1 so that we can match the 2 together. The 4 starting leads come into play at midnight. You can see that they're pointing straight up. But at the end of each round, which is 2 players' turns, we will turn this, all of them that are still out, 90 degrees clockwise. We will keep doing that every 2 turns, and if ever it goes back up to midnight, that lead has gone cold. We'll move 1 up on the cold lead track, we'll discard this lead, we will not replace it with a new lead, and we're 1 step closer to losing the game, because if we have 8 leads go cold, we lose the game. If you successfully complete a lead, you'll be able to generate new leads, but there's also location actions that I'm not going to go through now, but as we're going around, we can potentially use them, and there's 4 different locations that let you actually spawn leads. Our last step before we get to start. We get to discard the top plot card. So we're going to discard this green plot card, Widespread Rebellion. This one just goes to the discard pile, and we get to move 1 up on the plot track, the green one. That's nice. So that's a benefit to us. Then we reveal our first henchman. And we have Sweeney Todd. Oh, when revealed, each investigator must choose. Advance the lead forward 1/4 turn or suffer 1 wound. Oh, I think I'm going to have all of them move the leads 1/4 turn. So they're actually all going to start at 12:15 instead of at midnight, just because I don't want to start with wounds. Wounds are annoying. Now, in order to defeat him, we need to have a total evidence of 2 underworld and 1 science. Once we have that, it doesn't take an action. We can just discard that evidence, and then we defeat this henchman. Then we'll reveal the next one. Just so you can see, now all leads have been moved to 12:15. Moving 1 up the politics track is great. We'll move to 1. Once we get to 2, all investigators immediately gain 1 politics resource. So let's hope we can get there. And that's the setup for Victoriana. Hope you guys are excited. Do let me know if I did anything wrong so I can make notes so people trying to learn this game for the first time can do it right. But yeah, hope you guys will join me in the playthrough. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next stop.